Okay, hi, my name is Andrew, and today I'll be talking about the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So NASA has been around for about 50 years, and some people think it's a waste of money. After all, we have spent $1.7 billion on the space shuttles, and we built 5 of them. And then it cost $450 million in fuel and resources to launch them into space, and we have launched them 135 times. So of course that is a lot of money. Could we be using this on other things that are down here on Earth? Is it a good investment of our money? Well, I claim that NASA is a very beneficial government organization for us to have. They are a good organization for us to have because they are a good investment of taxpayers' money, and space exploration is something that is necessary for the human race. So NASA is a very good use of taxpayers' money because they create something called spin-offs. Spin-offs are byproducts of incidental results of a larger product. For instance, they have made something called LEDs. These types of lights, and they stand for light-emitting diodes. They're very, very efficient compared to normal light bulbs, and they actually try to use them to grow food in space. They also invented the grooves that you see in the road. This increases traction, and they were first used on airports to prevent aircraft from skidding. So now our highways and our runways are a lot more safer. And they invented a special coating to make solar panels way more efficient and practical and cheaper. And they have also decided to start miniaturizing gadgets so they can fit in our pockets because it's very expensive to put things up into space. NASA also creates jobs. They have 18,000 employees and 40,000 contractors who work in the private sector. These careers include engineering, biology, meteorology, and computer science. And also spin-offs do create jobs because companies rise up from these spin-offs and they need to hire people to work for them. Space exploration is essential for the human race, and NASA is the leader. No other organization or private company has been able to accomplish what NASA has been able to do. And why should we explore space? Well, exploring is just what we do as humans, from Christopher Columbus exploring the New World, from Charles Darwin visiting the Galapagos Islands, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landing on the moon, the Hubble Space Telescope looking deep into space, to the beginning of time. All these give rise to great discoveries that help advance us as a species. There are also resources outside of Earth on meteorites and other planets. There are precious metals such as gold, silver, titanium on meteorites that can be mined and brought back to Earth. There's also our possible next source of fuel, and that is called helium-3. It's a radioactive element that is only found on celestial bodies that don't have an atmosphere. Our magnetic field and our atmosphere block this out, and these radioactive isotopes are used from the sun. And our moon actually has a ton of it, and since it's a radioactive material, it can provide a lot of energy for its relative to its size, and it's also relatively safe. Another thing is we could actually discover life within our solar system. We recently found water on Mars. Jupiter's moon Europa is basically a gigantic ice ball with oceans underneath, and it is thought that here on Earth, life started in the ocean, so that would be a logical place to search. Something that would totally change the way we think about life and how it's formed is one of Saturn's moons, Titan. It is very, very cold, and methane, which is a gas here on Earth, is actually a liquid. So if they used methane instead of liquid, that would totally change how we think about life and would broaden our horizons. Discovering life on another celestial body would definitely change the world. So in conclusion, NASA is not very important not only to America, but to the human race. And NASA is a great investment that pays off big time. And NASA is the leader of space exploration, so this is something we should definitely be funding to make the next discoveries. And I hope you all see why NASA is a beneficial government agency, and thank you very much.
Do I give you my, what's that?
Yeah. All right, Andrew, you identify the proposition. I'm not sure, I mean, you do spend a little bit of time trying to suggest that there's a controversy here about this. I don't know who is suggesting that we ought to get rid of NASA or that anybody says that it is worthless. So the argument might be about what kinds of programs NASA is pursuing and whether or not that's the best use of the money in NASA. And I think you'd find that there's a lot more controversy about issues like whether or not manned exploration is a superior choice, or whether we ought to be spending our money on deep space probes versus things that are more proximate to us in our own solar system. Maybe there's some controversy on those points, but I've not heard anybody suggest that NASA's worthless and we don't get anything from it. However, the argument that you develop needs a lot stronger structure on this particular point. And when you talk about all of the benefits that it's going to produce, you just start listing a whole bunch of things without any proof. I mean, there are some vague examples that are referred to, LEDs and grooves in the road and solar panels, but that's all asserted on your part. I don't know where you got that information. I don't know why you believe that it's true, and I don't know why those things would not have been available except for NASA's participation in the process. So there's an incomplete story that's going on right there. When you say it's essential for the human race, I'm wondering what it is that makes it essential, and you basically come up with the idea of exploration. That sounds to me like it's a value argument more than anything else. There are some arguments that come up that suggest that continued pursuit of space research might produce solutions to energy issues, for instance, or resource problems, although there's not any demonstration that we have any of those kinds of problems, and there's not any demonstration that we could do that. There's just, again, asserted claims about what minerals are available out there, and the idea that we're going to be able to mine any of them, I think, is, it's a nice thought, but you're not talking about something that's happening in the near future, so that's an awfully long projection that you're making there. I didn't hear any source citations in the presentation, and that's really problematic. I've heard some of the examples you've talked about before, so I don't accuse you of making stuff up. I believe that those things are probably a result of spin-offs, like you said, of things that NASA has done, but you need to prove that sort of thing. Outside of the particulars, though, the general impact, the economic importance, is it nice to have grooves in the road? Yeah. Is it our solar panels? How much have they improved because of NASA's work? We don't really get any numbers on that, so I think that's a little bit underdeveloped. The whole idea of helium-3 is asserted, and the idea that it would be something that's practical, that we could mine it. I don't know how much money it would cost to develop a mining system that would allow us to go to another off-terrestrial body and obtain these things. I guess the closest one is the moon. If we can just go to the moon and dig this stuff up and send it back, I don't even know what the procedure on that is. That's one of those things where I think you need to pick something like that and make that the argument instead of keeping it as generic as it is here, because it's sort of like dealing with the fog. Every time you push at it, it just moves away out of the direction there. You know that it's there, but what is it doing? What's it accomplishing? And I think we have a little bit of a problem building your argument as a consequence. All right, thank you.